Hello and welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you're already part of the Sprinkle Squad. I'm so happy to see you again, and today we are building a mid-century inspired micro home. And yes, this is a true micro home. It is 32 tiles, so you'll get all of the benefits of having a micro home in The Sims, which includes, I think, like relationship gain, skill gain, like all kinds of really cool stuff. And I thought it might be a nice challenge for me to actually do. And I've also been super obsessed with mid-century modern lately, so I thought it would be kind of the perfect home to do. And I end up using these really cool like stone pieces. I think that's from the For Rent pack there. I end up actually making like a patio overhang there. And I will say as well that since I am restricted to 32 tiles, that the ceiling, the ceiling underneath that patio looks funny. So just in case you play in it, like, and you end up looking up with the camera, which doesn't really happen often, and it just looks funny, and I couldn't really do anything about it since in order to do something about it, I would have to like put a platform there or like extend it over, which would have added tiles, which is so silly because it's part of the ceiling. It's not even being used. But, and just to be like fair, micro home, 32 tiles, like without cheats and stuff, it ended up not being there. But of course, if the micro home thing doesn't really matter to you, or you want to like change that, feel free to do so. This is already up on the Sims 4 gallery under my ID, spicensprinkles, all one word, all lowercase, and down in the description if you want to see it written out. And I also use the hashtag spicensprinkles to help you find my builds as well. And honestly, it took me a while to figure out the exterior, because since it was a micro home, you're a little limited in terms of space, so it's a little bit harder to do things that are interesting with it. So I had to rely on, extra trim pieces and also like different roof pieces in order to make this look more interesting. Ultimately, I'm really happy with the way it turned out, and we actually ended up adding in some like blue teal accents, which I didn't figure out until I was like in the interior, and ended up using a lot of that in there too, which I've done a little bit looking into mid-century modern, and it kind of has like two eras, kind of like earthy tones, and then there was a period of time where it was like that hot pink and teal and everything. So we went with the bright colors, we went with the teal, and I did use, I feel like, I was gonna say a decent bit of the tiny home pack, but I used the Murphy bed, but I don't remember, I might use like the toilet and the sink too, but like the kitchen stuff, is not, well, I don't think even Tiny Living even came with like a kitchen set. Anyways, so, that will make it more difficult. Of course, if you don't have Tiny Living, you can just swap out the bed for, like, the Murphy bed for like a regular bed. That would work too, since obviously there has to be room for the bed to open, if that makes sense. So you can obviously just have a bed there instead if you would like to, but I also included like a really cute little like gardening space as well, and I think it turned out really nicely, and like I'm really excited about it. So I figured this sim is probably into gardening. Of course, you can change that into something else. Instead, you could have a pool or something like that. That's totally up to you. And I ended up going with that swatch for the Murphy bed that had the teal color in it, and it also had that really rich deep orange like wood tone. So I kind of brought in orange, which makes sense. Blue and orange go really well together, so I end up using that actually in here as well. So I did like blue appliances and orange cabinetry, and I think it looked really cool. I will say that I did do some funky stuff when it came to the like TV kind of area, which you'll see a little bit later. I do that on that wall with all of those windows there. So I do end up having to swap that around just a little bit, but I think it turned out really nicely, and I'm actually really excited about it. I kind of want to actually play in this build. And I also want to say that it's trying to storm outside, so in case you hear any wind or thunder, I'm hopefully you can't hear it, that's what's happening. That is like in my house right now while I'm doing this voiceover. But I ended up being able to use this beautiful tile, and it just, I was so excited. I really wanted to use a bold tile. I want to almost replace the tile in my current house with like some really bold print, but listen, I have all of these ideas that I want to do, but all of that is very expensive. So like, I don't know if that'll actually ever happen, but you know what? It's fun to think about those kinds of things. You know what I mean? Like, if I would swap out the tile, what would I swap it for? Like, that's what I've been daydreaming about a lot lately, is like, since, I just moved, it's like, oh, what can I do to this house? Things that I can change, that kind of thing. Like, I just spent a lot of money to move. Like, I don't have money to like redesign my home right now, but that's what I'm thinking about right now, and that's what my brain wants to do, which is rather unfortunate, but it's still fun to really think about. And I also used that really awesome like over the toilet organizer because it had that orange color, it had the blue. Of course, it came from, you know, the same pack as the Murphy bed, so that makes a whole lot of sense, which is partially why I use several of those pieces because they just fit together really nicely. And I end up using the 3-tile bathroom. If you've not seen this before, it is totally functional. Your Sims can use it, and it looks a little weird, but your Sims can absolutely take a shower. Like, it doesn't impede their ability to get into the bathroom or anything, but it kind of, you know, I didn't want to give up any more space in this like super tiny home, this micro home for the bathroom. And I do end up including a small little dining area in here as well. And of course I did this as an open floor plan. I guess maybe I need to try doing a micro with an actual bedroom. That would be a little more difficult and, you know, cause a little more like stress on my part to try to do, but I think that could be kind of fun as well. And I'm trying to remember if I include a barbecue out on the patio as well, because I did this build a few weeks ago. So like I mentioned in my other speed builds recently, like I had a bunch of speed builds piled up because of the move, so like this has been a little bit since I did this one as well, but I remember really enjoying it. So in one of my speed builds recently, I was talking about how like when I was living with my parents for like a week in between the moves and everything, that I played on her Sims account, so she doesn't have as many packs and all, but I did redesign the Lamb Grab mansion. And something I did was I did all this like layering with like different panels and pieces and everything like around the TV, and I thought it looked so cool. So I incorporated that kind of idea here, which I think turned out really nicely. I think I do actually add back in some of the windows here so that, you know, you do have some light coming in, because it also looks a little funny, I feel like, without windows on the front of the house. It just looks super plain, so I think I do put some back in. And I do think I stick with that like stone back there because I think it like adds a little bit extra too. I feel like there was so much going on that I didn't want to also have like a really bold wallpaper behind it, like, so it is like a lot, but I think it looks really cool in here and just kind of something I really haven't done before. So I was really kind of excited about that, and just combining some of the pieces to make new pieces. I feel like I've been super into that lately as well. And I thought about adding some like bigger cabinetry, but I kind of liked there being kind of like storage underneath that like cabinetry that I had there. So just kind of, you know, really trying to make use of this space like you probably would in a like real tiny home. And so having a small little dining area, and you can actually still open the Murphy bed. That's not any kind of issue. I did play test this. I think I actually ended up moving that like white poof there. I think that was in the way. I don't think your Sim could get to the bathroom if the Murphy bed was down, so it is kind of scooched over. So if you do notice that in the screenshots or like when you download it, that's because it didn't work where it currently is. So I did play test it, so hopefully you don't have any kind of issues when you're playing with it, because that like hopefully the, you know, the gallery doesn't do anything weird to it. And I will say also that like there's 2 walls that I didn't actually paint. Don't worry. I'm sure, you know, at some point you'll probably be like, okay, Rachel, you didn't actually paint those. When are you going to paint those? I do realize that when I was taking screenshots, so don't worry, what's on the gallery and in the screenshots is painted. I did remember to do that, but I was honestly putting off the wallpaper in the rest of this home because I was having a hard time deciding what I wanted, especially since I was having so much other stuff going on here. And I know that it's like a little weird like to have these windows and have like stuff in front of it, but we're just gonna go with it. We're just gonna be like, oh, it's just sat right up against the window, it's not like attached to the window, because obviously you're probably not hanging stuff on the window. But anyways, so we're just going to accept that it is The Sims, and it is totally fine for that to be there. And then adding some exterior lights out here as well, and of course some rocks and landscaping, because I just can't help myself. I always have to add it. I feel like it adds so much to a build to add in a lot of that vegetation. I know I mentioned it, I think, in my last video. I probably need to challenge myself to maybe do like a really minimalistic yard just to do something a little bit different. And I've kind of been super into doing driveways as well, which I know we don't actually have, you know, real cars in The Sims, but sometimes it's just kind of fun to imagine that we have them, you know what I mean? Since we did have them in The Sims 3, and like I have like, it's, you know, very distant memories, but I do have a distinct memory. Of course, you know, I did the thing that a lot of like people do in The Sims, where like I ended up having a gigantic house that your Sims took 10 years to actually walk through, and they had like a 5-car garage. Nobody needs that, but like I did. And of course, because it was a house of like vampires, they like lived forever, so they had a bunch of money, and like so they had this like gigantic house, and like of course I had an elevator. Man, that game is just different. It's just a different game. And I feel like maybe I need to go back. Maybe I'll stream or something. Maybe I need to like play The Sims 3 again. I did play it back when the horse pack came out for The Sims 4. Like I played with horses in The Sims 3 to kind of get ready for the pack. I do remember doing that. I believe I posted that on my VOD channel if you want to check that out. It's Extra Spice and Sprinkles, and the link is down below. So if you want to go check out any of those VODs, feel free to do so. And I try to mention too, like any of my speed builds that I do on stream, I do try to mention it in case you do like want to see the full length struggle of me trying to get through some of these builds, because definitely all of the struggle is not included in the footage that you actually end up seeing. And I will say that for some reason, the lighting here in this little corner, like, or this little nook, was so bad. And I don't know why. It was just with this one piece, but I really wanted that hanging, like, laundry there. So those are clothes, not like just laundry, but the clothes. So I apologize for the lighting to be, you know, it's just a little off there, but I really wanted to keep it. But if it does bother you, you can take it out. But it was just something that I wanted to keep, and I couldn't figure out how to fix it. Like, I guess it just being that little nook, it just kind of weirded the game out, and it didn't know how to deal with the lighting, even though I put like an extra light over there and the candle and everything trying to fix it. But I do include a little chess table out here, and I think I also put an easel out here, I want to say, if I remember correctly. And like I said, a bunch of gardening stuff. I think I end up putting a, what is it, the bee box keeper thing. Like I end up putting that in there as well. And like I said, I know that the lamp I just placed doesn't really actually have a ceiling to attach to, but again, that's just because I didn't want to mess up the 32 tiles. So hopefully that doesn't bother you too much. Usually I'm really good about those details, but since I was like, you know, trying not to, you know, mess that up and really do the micro home, I decided to keep it just kind of empty up there. So we're just going to ignore that a little bit. It's not a big deal. It's totally fine. And then this gardening area, I can't remember. I think I also included a flower arranging table as well, because I thought this is, I don't know, this could also be how they make money as well. And especially because in a micro home, I don't think your bills are as much either. So I don't know how lucrative actually like selling flower arrangements and stuff are. Like, you can let me know. But I did put a bird feeder out there. I honestly don't remember if I put stuff around it to where your sim can't actually get to it, but I thought it was really cute. I know I do that sometimes, so I apologize, but I like the look of it. But I like to put it like in the middle of a bunch of bushes or something, and then your sim has trouble getting to it. But anyways, just trying to finish out this little gardening area here, so again, it's not too cluttered and your sim can kind of get to everything, and that I have a lot of that fun like garden pieces in here from the Greenhouse Haven and the Blooming Rooms kit here. I just thought it looked so pretty just to have all of that around. And I think I ended up putting a bench by like the tree in the back as well, so your sim can hang out there. But if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I would really appreciate it, and I hope you have a really sweet day. Bye everybody.
We only need the two of us together. I need only you in this crazy world. 'Cause we got love, love. I need only you here with me. Close to me, why don't you do it right now? You know we met for a reason, but you're trying to deny